What is up, you guys? We just got delivery of our new build, and this time we got a tractor, a 2021 John Deere 3032E tractor. Alrighty guys, so as you guys can see, the tractor, we cannot lift it up or down because the bell housing right here is actually cracked. Here's another picture showing how it's cracked, and it broke off the transmission itself. And this is the diagram that actually shows it, and this is why this thing was totaled. Alrighty guys, so we got the tractor all dropped off at the dealership. We actually found out from the parts department that this thing still may have a factory warranty lift, and this damage to the bell housing and the transmission may be covered by John Deere. So we will find out. They said that they'll let us know, but for now, we're just going to bring it down here anyways because we do have to repair some of the hydraulic lines, and trying to explain to this over the diagram to them over the phone is complicated, so we figured why not bring it down here and see what happens. But man, take a look at all these tractors they have. I mean, some of these are just huge. And on top of that, they have buckets, all attachments in the back of the tractor, other implements and everything else that you could possibly imagine. They have anything you could actually put on the back of this thing. But let's go ahead, give it a couple of weeks, and we'll find out what happens. Alrighty guys, so we are actually headed over back to the dealership, and we got a phone call that basically our tractor is ready to go. They went through everything to make sure if it would fall under a warranty. Apparently it doesn't fall under warranty on this tractor, but that's not a problem because we do have a guy that could weld this thing up right away. And on top of which, they always recommended, you know how when you go to the dealerships, they recommend a huge entire list of everything you should need. I mean, for them to do this job was about $11,000. And I was like, whoa. And they're like, should we do it? I was like, no. So we're going to go ahead actually and take this thing over, actually go pick it up from the dealership. And they actually, I went ahead and gave them the okay to repair the lines on it. There was two lines that were busted when the front loader broke off. The lines were about $110 or $120 a piece. And then the fluid was about $100 for a 5-gallon bucket of it. And they only charged me about $120 a labor, so $60 a line. So I figured that was not bad, about $500 there. And we'll just go ahead. That way it's operational and we don't have to winch it on the trailer or anything else like that. So we're gonna go ahead and pick this thing up, put it on the trailer, and then take it over to our welding guy. He's got probably over 50 years of experience. So we're gonna go ahead and take it over to our guy and get this thing all welded up and hopefully operational. Another thing I wanted to quickly mention that I forgot to mention was, you know, while I'm driving, I just thought of it in the back of my mind. It's been almost a month and a half, 2 months since we've dropped off this tractor, and it took them a month and a half and 2 months almost just to get us back an answer from, I guess, I don't know if they go through corporate or where they go through. I don't know. I don't think it's the dealer's fault. I think probably corporate. I don't know. I mean, but I don't know. I've taken stuff to a lot of other dealerships for recalls and stuff, like Mercedes for our AMG GT and the supercar and stuff, and it didn't take a month and a half just to get back an answer. But, you know, I was always calling them to make sure what's going on, and every week they said it's going to be done this week, and it wasn't. So it is what it is. It took us almost I'd say almost close to 2 months. And I don't know if it's just tractor dealerships that are this far behind. Maybe it's spring season. This is my first tractor, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But drop it down in the comments if you know. Maybe it's just they're flooded with repair work. Maybe it's just a season of tractors right now, and I don't know. Maybe it's harvesting season. I'm not a farmer. I don't know. All I need is a tractor to move stuff around our property. But if you guys do know, drop it down in the comments. I would love to hear more about this, because it's been a first time for me. Alrighty guys, so as you guys can see behind me, we still have the tractor with us. We actually picked it up from the Deere dealership, took it over to our buddy who does the welding and all that, and I mean, he's got years of experience, but before he can do any welding, we have to go ahead and remove that front loader, the one that says 300E, for those that don't know what a front loader is, because that is in the way where the mounting plates and everything else goes. And on top of that, there's 3 hydraulic lines that we also have to remove, because you don't want that welding rod accidentally hitting, a hydraulic line or a fuel line, and it might, mess up the line, and then next thing you know, you're spending money on lines and all that. And if it hits the fuel line, well, being a diesel, everyone knows that once you got air in the system in a diesel, it's very tough to get the air back out. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what it is. If we just follow me back here, I'll show you guys what it is. So as you're walking back here, you can see we obviously have to zip tie this line. This is the new line that they replaced, the one that was busted, which is basically this one, and also the second one's also brand new. But we're gonna have to go ahead and remove both those lines, and that line's not that bad because as you can see, it runs up through here, and that same line, let me get up on this trailer real quick. That same line, as you can see, is right there, runs all the way up and just disconnects from right up here where the joystick handle is, right on top. So that's really easy to do because we can just disconnect these two right here and then just drop that down. That'll be out of his way. But the one line that's still in his way is this line right here. If you look at this line, you can see how it goes behind it and goes right there where the mount is broken off. So we're gonna have to figure out what this line is. Being underneath it and following the line, it looks like it's a fuel line. So we're gonna actually take this to a good friend's shop, and he does a lot of these, machinery, skid steers and stuff. And we're gonna go ahead and see about possibly removing this line and removing this front loader assembly, because this all has to be out of the way, so it makes room and also allows you to do a cleaner job and a nicer weld. So we're gonna catch you guys tomorrow on that. We're gonna just leave this thing loaded up on the trailer and strapped down and take it down to my buddy's shop so we can remove this and then run it back down to our other buddy who's gonna go ahead and hopefully start welding this. And the good news is a magnet sticks to that, and there's a lot of steel in there, so it's not just cast like we were thinking. And we're still gonna build a plate for it to make this a lot stronger than what it is. And we obviously have one bolt hole that's still good, and we're gonna extract that bolt. So we got our pieces as well. The pieces of the broken pieces are down here. Let's go and show you guys those. Put them inside of our trailer bucket here so we don't lose them. But there is one of the pieces right there. As you can see, it's still got the bolt in there, so that's a good sign. Same with this one. The bolt threads are still good on it, and the bolt's still in there. So we're gonna have to go ahead and weld this back on and stitch it all back up together, put a plate on it to reinforce it, and we should be good to go. But I'll catch you guys tomorrow so we can go ahead and remove that front loader and hopefully get this thing back to the welding shop and get this thing all welded up. We were gonna go ahead and take this and get this front end off, and just thinking about it, we still have the rest of the day here, and I was thinking maybe it'd be a lot better for us to just go ahead and pressure wash this. While you're working on stuff, you don't want to be working on stuff like this. It gets kind of aggravating. I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Normally when you're working on something, it's a lot nicer when you're working on something that's cleaned up and I don't know, it's just something that's not grease everywhere and oily, and you know, you get grease all over your wrench, and same with like under the hood. I don't know. I think we're gonna go ahead and just clean this thing up, and even then, that area where he's gonna weld, once we have this apart, it's not gonna be, you know, it's gonna get all the grease and everything, and you'll have a better quality weld when you have cleaner stuff and everything being clean. So let's go ahead, get this thing all washed up, get it all cleaned up, get this seat that's looking like this all cleaned up as well, and then tomorrow we'll catch you guys at my buddy's shop so we can go ahead and get this front end loader off. Alrighty guys, take a look at how it just cleaned up. It makes everything look a lot nicer, and on top of that, working on it makes it look a lot easier too, because you're not looking at, you know, grease stains and everything. I mean, we got this thing really clean, so we're gonna go ahead and have a blast working on this thing tomorrow. We're gonna go ahead and catch you guys tomorrow as well, get this front loader attachment off of it, and then that way we can go ahead, take it back to the welding guy and actually get this thing all welded up. And this thing is all done, and hopefully we can see it pick stuff up and get it all operational. So for now, we'll catch you guys tomorrow. Alrighty guys, so it is the next day here, and we actually got this John Deere all torn apart. We did it off camera because, you know, my buddy was helping me out here, and, you know, I just didn't think about grabbing the camera. But we got this loader arm off. You can actually see the damage now where it's broken. You can actually see the flywheel as well. Kind of shifted this plate back, so we'll have to heat this up and move it forward. We're gonna have to extract that bolt that I was telling you about. But we got everything torn apart and got all the hydraulic cylinders out of the way and all that. And so what we're gonna end up doing is, now that we got the front boom up, we're gonna go ahead and strap this thing up and take it back on the trailer and take it down to our guy that's gonna weld it all up. But we got the Kubota tractor right next to it. And this is my good buddy's Sean's tractor. And man, take a look at the difference. I think I might go with the Kubota after this thing, because first of all, when you're looking at the loader arms, notice how thick these arms are and how they're not cast. They're actually steel, and they're just, looks like it just built way more heavy duty. You also got the quick release up here, and keep in mind this is only a 25 horse versus a 32 horse, and I mean, it looks bigger as well. Just alone looking at the two, it looks a lot bigger. You can look at the axles themselves. Taking a look at this axle, you can see how thick this is. Going back over to the John Deere, look how small that axle is. And then same thing with the hood, plastic hood. Everything on this thing is metal. So I don't know what's going on with the quality on John Deere's. I know they're all, you know, supposed to be behind making the best tractors and whatnot, but it looks like to me that this Kubota has won. Oh yeah, I was showing that to them too. 4 bolts plus 4 other ones on this side that mounts to the bell housing, versus just on the John Deere, when you come over it, all the mounts to this is only 4 bolts. That's it, and it just mounts there, and all your weight and pressure is literally there. And actually, look at this. John Deere is supposed to be American. If you look really closely, it says made in China. That is crazy. Alrighty guys, so now we are actually driving over to our buddy Homer over here, and he's gonna go ahead and hook us up. Now that we got everything out of the way for him, he can go ahead and continue his welding process and getting this thing all welded back up. And we're actually gonna put a plate on there as well, that way it could get it all, you know, stiffened up and more stronger. Because as you guys can see, I mean, from the factory, these Deere products don't come that stiff apparently compared to like the Kubota. So I don't know what it is. I guess maybe it works, I don't know. But the other thing that was a big thing for me that I saw was they have the loader, which is a 300E loader on these, and this is a 32 horse tractor, but the same loader, the 300E loader, comes on the 25 horse, the 28 horse, and all the way up to 38 as far as I know, because my neighbor has a 38 and he has the same 300E loader. So once you think about it, that little tiny, you know, loader with the really small frame of the loader compared to the Kubotas on the 25 horse, yeah, I mean, you got that on a 38 horse. So I don't know. I mean, parts just look like it's a lot lighter duty kind of vehicle. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing repaired, but I think we might get a Kubota on this channel, because after seeing what I just saw today, I don't know. I mean, my eyes widened up, and you know, I just saw everything, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing over to Homer's, and he's gonna go ahead and have this thing for at least a couple days so he can get it all welded up, and then we're gonna go ahead and pick it right back up. Alrighty guys, so we are actually here at my buddy Homer's shop. We got the tractor behind us already unstrapped, and he's actually right there behind us. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing unloaded, drop this thing off for him, and he's gonna go ahead and weld this thing in. The good thing is that this steel for this bill housing is like a cast steel, and it's really good cast is what he's saying, so it's weldable, and he thinks it's going to be a great finish, because he was hoping that's what it was. I mean, it could be something that's really bad cast and it can't stick that well to welding it, and you know, it's a lot more work. But with this that he just saw, he just said that this is going to be an easy thing to do. So we're going to go ahead, drop this thing off for him for a couple days and get it back up. He's got over 50 years of experience, so if anyone's the guy to do this, it's going to be him. Alrighty guys, so it is the next day and we're back at Homer's shop. We got our truck and the trailer here, and behind me is a finished tractor. He got everything all welded back together. As you guys remember, the bell housing was in pieces. He put it all back together, welded it from the front and from the back, and you know, used a nickel rod on it, and on top of that, then welded everything back together to the bell housing once he had all the pieces together, and I'll show you guys how it looks. So take a look at this. He has this whole entire thing all welded back up, and also from the back side. And keep in mind, this whole thing was in pieces, and he welded it up from here and went underneath. That way he doesn't touch any of the fascia over here where it mounts back up with the old one. And if you look at the old piece over here, this was all cracked, and he got this all welded back up and grinded down, also from the inside, and also both sections over here and here. So we're gonna go ahead and paint this back up once we get everything bolted up, but for now we're gonna go ahead, get this thing all loaded back up on the trailer and put it back all together. Another thing I wanted to put on there is we actually have to go ahead and mount this back up. This is your third function switch for like a grapple attachment or any other thing you want to have that requires a third function. But these lines obviously were bent up, but they're not leaking or anything. But to protect these lines from the future from getting caught in anything, I want to go ahead and get an angle bracket like a 90 and kind of cover it up. That way if anything hits it, it won't hit the lines, bust out your line, it'll protect it. And we can mount this on top of our angle bracket. So that's what he's doing right there right now. He's got a piece of angle steel, and we're gonna cut it off with a torch and get this thing on there. Alright, so as you guys can see behind me, we got the tractor all loaded up, and we are actually heading down back to my buddy Sean's shop, and that way we can go ahead and get this whole thing put back together. And obviously we hooked up the lines and stuff back, and you know, it's operational, there's no leaks on the fluids, but we got all the welding all done. So now it's time for reassembly and putting this thing all back together. And guess what? If this all goes to plan, we only had to pay $250 to get this repaired versus John Deere's almost $11,000 quote. What do you know? Well, let's go ahead and put it back together and see if it works out. Alrighty guys, so we got this thing back to the shop, and before we can go ahead and put the bucket back on there, we're gonna have to go ahead and paint all this up that we got that bracket built, plus for the hose attachments and all that. We're gonna go ahead and paint all this, but we're gonna have to go ahead and prep it. And before we can do any of that, we're gonna have to unload this thing off the trailer. So we're gonna unload this, move the trailer out of the way, bring it inside the shop, start sanding everything down, prepping it, and that way we can get this thing all painted. And this thing is gonna be all done. Our buckets and our grapple attachment is literally right over there. And that way we can get this thing fully restored, 100% back together, painted, and it's gonna be all done. So we got a bunch of stuff we gotta paint. We're gonna have to paint that. We're gonna have to paint that grill. We also gotta replace the headlight and the grill on this thing. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And on top of all that, we're gonna replace those two lights back there. And we also gotta paint this right here where they also welded down here, and also get two more bolts because we are missing two of them since they were broken. So I just put those two on there for now so we can reassemble everything, and we're gonna go ahead and pick up two more bolts, get back together, and that floor pan back together. So let's go ahead, get everything all fixed and back together. It's a shame that that floor pan is missing because that pan was literally there on the tractor, and the dealership lost it, and they are not claiming responsibility. And I guess they're saying that that was never on there. But I guess what sucks is the fact that the bolts were there in the cup holder, and you got to remove those, you know, the floor pan to actually replace these lines that they replaced, since the lines were busted when the loader was busted that broke the lines. But it is what it is. We'll just pay the $200 and get a new floor pan for it. That way we can just keep continuing with the build, and we're gonna go ahead, get this thing all painted, and in no time this thing's gonna be all done. Alrighty, so we got the tractor inside the shop, and as you look around it, you can see basically everything that needs to get painted. That bracket that we put on there needs to get painted. We'll go ahead and touch up some of the little stuff. This stuff right here does not matter. The bucket attaches on there and all the implements, so you know it's gonna get scratched up anyways. But we're gonna go ahead and touch this up right here. Touch up all this little stuff there, and just go ahead all around and just clean it all up. Just obviously right in there where they where you have to weld this cast over here, and you know, repair it. We're gonna go ahead and just do all that. It's not much, and then this thing is gonna then get all put back together. We're gonna order new lights for it already. They're gonna be on the way here in the next couple of days, and then we got new headlights and a grill for it. So if you ever wanted to see how, you know, stuff like this when a tractor gets done, it's pretty basic. It's pretty the same, you know, way of doing a car. So stay tuned, guys. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing all masked up for now, and then get this thing all sprayed in. Alrighty guys, take a look at this. This right here is success right here, because first of all, when we got this thing, there was an attachment on there, which was the grapple attachment next to this bucket, but we found this bucket from the original owner in Florida, and he ended up being kind enough to going ahead and letting us have this because he has no use for the tractor anymore. And this tractor was actually his business's main source of income. They owned a tree company. Explains why, you know, they had the grapple attachment, the third function switch, and all that stuff added on there. But he had this bucket just sitting there. And when the tractor went to the auction, because the insurance company took it from him, the bucket was just sitting there on his yard and he had no use for it. So I found out the previous owner's info from the Deere dealership, and they gave me his number, and I called them up, and what do you know? He has the bucket sitting there in his yard, and all we had to do was send down a transporter down to Florida to go pick it up for us. But guys, this is a success right here. Take a look at how this thing looks, all back together, all painted. We still got to do the headlights, the grill, and those 2 turn signals, and then we are 100% set. Oh, and that footrest area over there. But man, now this bucket makes this tractor look dirty again, so we're going to have to go ahead and wash out this bucket. It's been sitting outside, but man, this thing came out really nice. Alrighty guys, so we went ahead and actually got these covers removed on this John Deere. So complicated just to get that grill out. You got to remove the side covers, and of course it was kind of hard to see because inside this engine compartment area, the battery sits right there smack down in the middle. You can actually still see the broken headlight, but there was a lot of dirt. So with all that dirt, you know, being in there, it was tough to even see what was going on. I mean, I vacuumed most of it, but you can still see how much dirt was in there. And we got this battery bracket out of the way, and then this little thing, little trim piece out, and then you can pop this all out. So we're gonna go ahead. I took it apart because I couldn't figure out how to even take it apart, because I mean all the bolts were all hidden and stuff. But now that I know how it goes together, I mean, well, apart, I know exactly how it goes together. So we're gonna go ahead, film this, and put it all back together so you guys can actually see the smooth process of how it works, because otherwise, man, this took me about an hour and a half just to try to figure out where all the bolts are at, and you know, they're hidden, and you got to clean this all out and stuff. So let's go ahead, get this back together. We got the new headlight in as well. This chrome part's good. We just got to put the headlight in because that headlight's broken, and get our new grill on, and then this thing is good to go. Alrighty, take a look at this. It's now been a couple days, and we got all of our parts in. Brand new grill right in here. Brand new headlight as well, right over here. And then they even gave us the greenpartstore.com hat, and looks like a drink holder carrier with our turn signals as well. So we got all these, all from Deere, all OEM. So let's go ahead, get all this stuff installed, and then get this thing all put back together. And before we do any of that, I've got the battery temporarily hooked on right now. You can see all that dirt that was in there. We're gonna go ahead and bring this thing out and get this thing all washed up. That way it looks clean, just like the rest of the engine bay. Alrighty guys, take a look at this. When we first got this tractor, nothing of this stuff worked. Like the boom was completely broken, it was spewing hydraulic fluid everywhere, and that's why I kind of wanted to decide, since this was going to be such a short rebuild series, to just put everything all into one video for you guys. So you guys can see the whole entire process from start to finish in one video. More importantly, we're really waiting on parts and also waiting on John Deere. This thing sat there for almost 4 weeks there, till they, replace those lines. So that was the biggest waiting period on that, and that's why we just wanted to put everything together in one video, and so we can see, show you guys the whole entire process of how this goes. This was actually my first time working on anything, hydraulic equipment, tractors and stuff like that. So I mean, to be honest, it really wasn't that difficult. It's just a whole new learning experience. When you get into a rhythm of doing stuff like taking bumpers off, putting hoods on and stuff like that, everything's second nature. It's easy because you already done it like thousands of times. On this is all first-hand experience. So, even though it looks easy, you just want to make sure you're doing it right. So you take time and, if I have to do this again, it'll be way faster. But guys, I hope you guys really like this kind of content. You don't really really see much of this kind of rebuild series going on tractors. But if you guys like it, we might be doing more in the future, maybe skid steers and stuff like that. And if you guys like this kind of stuff, smash that thumbs up button. If you have something to say, drop it down in the comments. And as always, guys, smash that subscribe button. Until then, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.